Yes, hello. I'm Dr. Chris Lamont, and these are just some questions that I've got from students from my present webinar, Wellness Code, which is available out there most certainly online. Uh, and one of the questions I always try to avoid is the concept of time. I have a little piece in Wellness Code where you do some dancing and moving to get in sync to time. The goal in that piece was to be able to it's kind of like practicing something so you kind of get it, right? That's what it's designed to do. So to get a rhythm change in your body, you got to kind of practice it. It's kind of like walking toe to heel, dancing, playing jump rope, whatever. So that's the design of it. But it does talk about time. It talks about a time message. I put a time association with it, which is an assignment. So there's, how should I call them? Some more advanced concepts involved in that. And then I get emails back saying, what is this time thing? So I'll talk about a little bit. I think before we can start to really talk about time, you have to understand what speed of light and cosmic speed limits all about. We have this illusion of things, the universe being big and everything moving fast. But that's an illusion because of a special relative state that we're in. So let's look at it this way. If we were to go from where I live in Washington State to New York, we would arrive in New York and then we'd be in New York. Right now, I think of New York as being a long ways and a lot of times sitting in an airplane seat. But the truth is, once I get to New York, it would be going around taxis, subways, buses, walking down streets, looking at sites. Really unique to New York, but no different than seeing any other city, right? It's just that it's not close to here. Seattle's 2.5 hours. I could go to Seattle and walk around and it would be the same type of scenario, but the scenery would, of course, be different, right? So you start to see it's like, I don't know what a location would look like in our universe. In our universe, because we have a formulation of a relationship between matter and energy, all at the speed of light, it means the universe is like New York. It's like one city. It's like one dot. It's like one place. Now, if all of this would be moving, and that's why there's a speed limit. The speed limit is not accelerating too. The speed limit is anything that's not going that fast is catching up. It's slower than normal. Normal in this universe would be the universe as a location, nothing catching up, nothing in a state of movement. Everything is some form of a balance between energy and matter. And we know that from formulas, from math, but we don't know the experience of it. There's no human that's had the experience of it. So when you listen to people talk about it, they talk about it from meditation, which just meant that they get out of the norm and imagine it differently. In other words, they make it up, right? Okay, so when I'm answering your question, I've got to kind of make it up a little bit. So we'll try to use a little bit of a metaphor. I'm going on a tour. I've had lots of tours I've done. I've taken people on tours. I've gone on other people's tours. I travel a lot. I like to see the world. I like to interact with people in different parts of the world. Okay. I'm going on a tour, and I've been on tours already where we've lost people, right? And they had to catch up. They got lost. They missed the boat. They whatever, and they had to catch up. So the human race is like a group of people on a tour, and they just missed the boat, and they're trying to catch up. So all the time they're thinking of, I've got to change. I've got to catch up. I got to be over there. I just missed them. I've got to get over here. It's like we live a life of catching up to the universe as if it was a location somewhere and we're not quite there yet. So we're always in the act of becoming. We're always in the act of movement. So consequently, movement and balance and moving in a direction of something which is a static normal. There's no reference that I can begin to imagine other than just to make up wild stories. It's great if I was going to write a book, I'd make up a wild story and talk about it as if it was real, but it would just be imagined, right? But then pretty much all of it's imagined, right? So you start to see it's like movement's really imperative to us because we're always behind. We're not quite there yet. We're always becoming something. We're launched in a direction with no knowledge of what the outcome is. If I miss my flight with my friends to New York, I might have to get a charter flight. I might have to, I don't know what I'd have to do, but I wouldn't be there at the same time they would be there. I would have to catch up. I might get there later and then meet them in the morning. But it has nothing to do with the experience of New York. None of that talks about the experience of New York. I cannot talk about the experience of the universe if I was up to speed, if we were all being there up to speed so that it was just this one location having experience. I can't even begin to imagine what that would be. So here we're called perpetually, and way back when I was teaching concepts in a Kabbalah, I liked the idea from the Kabbalah because it said that a spark from a fire comes out of the fire as a spark, burns out, and hits the ground as just charred. And that seconds of movement is the nature of all humanity. In other words, it's catching up. It's catching up. It's becoming something. It's in the process of becoming. For that, it's a charred piece of burnt wood or whatever's in the fire. It's just a becoming piece. That's the whole. I love the Kabbalistic idea because it expresses that. It's a huge piece of wisdom from way back in history, right? We've been looking at this for a long time, trying to understand why we're always behind, why we're always trying to catch up, why we're always becoming, why we're always getting exposed to stuff that we didn't know yesterday. Why is that always unfolding? Why is the experience of life for us unique? And then for grandpa and grandfather unique, and for great-grandpa and great-grandfather unique. What is the drive and the way they find meaning? What is the way that we find meaning? What is the way that my children find meaning? What is the way that my grandchildren find meaning? It's always different. It's always in a state of change. It's always in the act of becoming something. So that's where we sit. When you want to integrate change, you have to get very proactive in becoming. You have to introduce a time element, a rhythm, a beat into that so that you can actually kind of work it into the conscious piece of you so it becomes updated in you. That's why the exercises is in wellness code. And that's why when you want to learn something, you have to get hands-on, you have to do it. You can't read a book about swimming or read a book about bicycle riding or even flying a kite and have the experience. You have to get wet to learn to swim. You have to find balance point on a bike and probably fall down a few times. You have to do a lot of running around to figure out which way the wind's blowing and how much line you're going to need to get lift on a kite. You have to have that experience. I think being the universe is an experience that we're rushing to catch up to. We're hoping to become. I'm not sure that we'll ever become that, but I'm not sure that's important. So that's my idea of the meaning of time. We just have a time issue because we're once again late for the show. Not a big thing, just a human thing. All right? Thanks.